Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Shra Om Agyantamirandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadha Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Janmadhyasa Yatonvaya Ditarata Sharite Shabhigya Swarat Tene Brahma Hridhaya Radhikavaye Muhyanti Asuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sadhana Rastakuakam Satyam Parandimahi Hari Om Tat Sat. So, continuing our discussion of Madhurya Kadambini by Sri Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. So, hold on. In the last class, we were hearing about Shuddha Bhakti, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Gyanakram Adya Navitam, Anukuyena Krishna Nushulanam Bhaktir Uttama. It's the definition of Shuddha Bhakti. So we're hearing about Shuddha Bhakti and how it's compared to a desire tree, Kalpavriksha tree. So Kalpavriksha tree means where whatever you ask from it, will give it. But it also has its own fruit. So if you don't ask anything from it, it will give its fruit. But most of the time we have desires, so we only get that. But if you don't have any desires, you can get the highest fruit from the tallest tree. That is Shuddha Bhakti. So how did that Shuddha Bhakti come? That was being described in the last discussion. The tree comes from a seed. So the seed is implanted in the heart of the devotee. So I have a little bit of an edit here. After talking to Mukunda Prabhu, a devotee from Alachua, he's a disciple of Narayan Maharaj. And we had a long 4 or 5 hour discussion in Alachua about all sorts of topics came up. And what is this Bhakti Lata Bija? That was one of the major topics. So he gave some different angle, which I was considering, but now in light of something I was reading from Sri Vishwanath's Madhurya Kadambini, some insight came, clarification I wanted to make, or some new suggestion, maybe some new idea here that's kind of important. So as we mentioned, there are 2 stages of sadhu sangha in the sequence from Shraddha Prema, Adhau Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha. So there are 2 stages. That Adhau is called the first sadhu sangha. In the beginning, there's sadhu sangha, and from that you get faith, and then there's the second sadhu sangha, which I suggested it means Guru Padashraya. It refers to the association of our gurus, Diksha Guru and Shiksha Gurus also. That is the second sadhu sangha. So this Bhakti Lata Bija is given by a guru actually, right? Brahmanda Brahmite Konda Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. So this Bhakti Lata Bija is given by the guru. That's what the verse is saying. And referencing a statement of Sri Jiva Goswami and his commentary to a verse for how bhakti comes into the life of a devotee. We heard that this seed is Rati Ankura. The seed is the seed of Rati. Rati means Sthayi Bhav, right? Sthayi Bhav means a fixed relationship with Krishna in terms of Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. So that is the meaning of the word Rati. So this Rati Ankura means the seed of that relationship. The seed of that Sthayi Bhav in terms of Dasya Ras, Sakya Ras, and so on. So that seed is given at the time of initiation, it seems, Bhakti Lata Bija. So we were mentioning, well, this conversation came up in the last class, that this Bhakti Lata Bija is faith. And faith and the Rati Ankara, they're in one sense non-distinct. But actually there is a distinction. So our acharyas are making commentary about this, and I didn't mention in the last class because it didn't strike me as extremely relevant, but now it's striking me as extremely relevant. A seed can only be planted in a fertile field. I mean, you can plant it in an infertile field also, but it won't grow. Only when the seed is planted in a fertile field will the seed grow, right? So the fertile field in which the Rati Ankara is planted is the field of faith. If there is no faith, obviously the seed cannot grow. So that faith is given by the first sadhu sangha, right? So that is the Adal Shraddha. In the beginning, there's sadhu sangha and they give faith. So this sadhu sangha may be general sadhu sangha. They're giving the faith. You keep hearing Hari Katha from them. As you keep hearing Hari Katha, you get Nitya Sukriti. You know this Nitya Sukriti. Nitya Sukriti means eternal piety versus the Karma Sukriti. Karma Sukriti is temporary. You do some pious activity and then when you enjoy, that pious activity is exhausted. But with Nitya Sukriti, you get it, it's avyayam. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Susukam Kartum Avyayam, commenting about bhakti. He says that this bhakti is susukam, it is happily performed. And Prabhupada says it can be happily performed. I just always like that comment, I think it's funny. And kartum, avyayam, susukam kartum, so it's happily performed. And avyayam, it's imperishable. So Nitya Sukriti means it's imperishable. So if you hear Hari Katha from anyone, any sadhu you hear, that goes into your, as devotees in the West we like to articulate it, it goes into your eternal bank account. Okay, so in that eternal bank account, you keep feeding it, it creates a nice fertile field of Shraddha. So now if some seed comes inside that fertile field, that seed can grow, right? But that seed is self the faith necessarily. That's what is being indicated here from all these things I'm kind of stringing together from my conversation with the devotees and what I'm viewing from the commentaries of the acharyas. So the first sadhu sangha is making a fertile field, but no seed is there. So the seed is given at the time of initiation. So Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bija, by the mercy of Guru, he is giving the Bhakti Lata Bija. So why we say this Bhakti Lata Bija is the Rati Ankura, the seed of Rati that is given at initiation. You understand? Are you understanding? Is that okay?
Yeah, what do you mean by initiation? Like,
so we're gonna get. No,
we
tell what is initiation. We're gonna tell what is initiation now. But first point is to understand that the Bhakti Lata Bija is not Shraddha, but it is the Rati Ankura, the seed of faith. So the first sadhu sangha is giving Shraddha, you understand? It's making the field fertile. Because the seed cannot grow inside an infertile field or an impotent field. So the first sadhu sangha, that means general sadhu sangha, is giving the field by which the seed can grow. But no seed is there, but it's giving the field by which a seed can grow. And if you're going, hearing, not initiated, you're just going, hearing. So nice, you're making the field very nice, but no seed is there yet. So then Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Bija, the Guru, he is giving the Bhakti Lata Bija. So we already heard that is Rati Ankara, okay, understand?
Yeah.
So what is this seed? Is Rati Ankara. I already just mentioned, you weren't here. But Rati means Sthayi Bhav, right? In terms of Dasa, Sakya, Vatsala, Madhurya. So that's given at the time of initiation by the Guru. So the definition of initiation given by Sri Jiva Goswami, you may be knowing, Divya Gyanam Yatot Hadya. You know this verse?
I heard
many times.
doesn't speak.
Doesn't speak also. So I put it on my screen. Divya Gyanam Yatot Hadya Korya Pasa Sakshanam. So at the time of initiation, the Guru is giving Divya Gyan, right? Divya Gyan Hide Prakashito, right? He's giving the Divya Gyan means divine knowledge, right? So what is this divine knowledge? You know what is the divine
You
knowledge?
just mentioned Saiba.
Yeah, that's true. It's Daiva. So Sri Jiva Goswami, he's quoting this verse, Divya Gyanam Yatodhatya Puryapapasa Sakshana. He quotes this verse in Bhakti Sandarbha. So then he describes what is this Divya Gyan. So he says Divya Gyan is Bhagavat Swarup Gyan. It is knowledge of Bhagavan's form, which is Srimati Mantra, which is inside the beautiful mantra. Because at the time of initiation, Diksha means receiving the mantra from the Guru, right? And in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the mantra is Gopal mantra specifically, not Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is for everyone. But the mantra specifically is the Gopal mantra, right? The same Gopal mantra that Lord Brahma chanted in Brahma Samhita, he got darshan of the Lord, it's called Gopal mantra. So that's given at Diksha. And in our Saraswat Sanghas, we call it as the second initiation. But previously it was just called Diksha. There was now divided into first and second. It was just Diksha. So we call it a second initiation. So the Guru gives the Gopal mantra. I mean, he gives many mantras and Gayatris, but specifically for Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it is a Gopal mantra. And inside the Gopal mantra is Bhagavat Swarup Gyan, knowledge of the Bhagavat Swarup. You understand? Bhagavan Swarup.
Okay.
What other Swarup? What other Swarup's going to be in the mantra?
Well, you already mentioned, right, that initiation means, and then at the time of initiation, the Guru gives a mantra which has the Sai Bhav in it, and I got stuck with that.
So Sai Bhav means love for Krishna, right? So the mantra is having the form of Krishna in it, right? And Sambandha Vishesha Gyan, special knowledge of your relationship with that form. So Divya Gyana, Sri Jiva Goswami says, this is Divya Gyan. You understand? Or this is Divya Gyan. And that is what is given at the time of initiation. So the initiation time, you get the mantra, which is bestowing Divya Gyan, which is a relationship, Sthai Bhav, that's relationship means Sthai Bhav, right? It is the Bhava that, or Bhakti, if you want to use a more general term, that connects the Ashraya to the Vishaya, right? If there's no Bhakti, there's no link of the Jiva and Bhagavan, right? There's no link of Bhagavan and Bhakta. The relationship of Bhagavan and Bhakta is Bhakti, right? Just like when you're walking a dog, okay, the boys, we don't have dogs. Well, some of us
Walking a cow.
Walking a cow. So when you're walking a cow, what is the relationship between you and the cow? The rope. So Bhagavan and Bhakta are there, but the relationship is Bhakti, that Bhakti point, or Sthai Bhav, right? So you get knowledge of Bhagavan Swarup along with special knowledge of your relationship with Krishna. That is given at the time of Diksha. Is inside the mantra, Srimati mantra, is inside the beautiful mantra. So this is the seed. This is the seed, the Rati Ankura. This is the seed of Rati. It's given at the time of initiation. So why I mention these verses now, and it comes up again in this Madhurya Kadambini that we're gonna look at today. Huh?
In the Bhajanakya section will come again.
What?
The initiation discussion will come again.
No, but we're about to read something. So why I'm telling this now, because we didn't bring up this, it's kind of subtle, and I missed it by having some discussions about it, and I'm going to point it out. So Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion that without initiation, the connection with Krishna does not take place, right? You remember this? In his introduction to Nectar of Devotion, which is, the introduction covers the definition of Shuddha Bhakti. So Prabhupada is giving a commentary on the word Anu. So Krishna, Anu, Shilanam, right? So this Krishna is there, and then Shilanam is there, and that middle thing is Anu, right? So we say Anu means continuous, that's one way, so continuous ardent endeavors of the actions and emotions towards Krishna. And that word Anu, according to our acharyas, means the Swarup Shakti. Because the Swarup Shakti, Bhakti is the essence of the Swarup Shakti, it's creating that relationship, right? So that Swarup Shakti is coming through the line of Guru Parampara. So Prabhupada says that the connection with Krishna happens on the day of initiation, which is very discouraging, but that's what he writes. And he says, without initiation, then the connection with Krishna does not actually take place. A double whammy.
And this is the second initiation. This is the second.
This is the second initiation. Right, it's the second initiation.
All the hopes are
Oh,
demonic.
you're like, yeah, I got first. You're like, the actual connection. So, of course, you know, the first initiation, and it's kind of included to some degree, because you're getting higher now from your Guru Dev, who will later give the Diksha, who will give the mantra. But basically, Diksha means
So
the
that's the
mantra.
Sai Bhav.
Hold on, before we get to that.
Okay.
Jumping ahead. So, why are we saying this? So later on, I'm putting it here because I'll show you now from Madhurya Kadambini, the part we're supposed to cover. Sri Vishwanath is saying here, Swasparshena Sparsha Maniriva. So he says this seed of bhakti, which was given, is like a touchstone. So he says, like a touchstone, this creeper of bhakti eventually transforms the iron-like material senses into the most pure transcendental gold. Okay, the senses, karana vritti api prakritatva lohatam. The senses are having, karana vritti means they have tendency for sense gratification. You may have noticed. And so they're compared to iron. We're not attracted to gold, we're attracted to iron. Iron means sense gratification. And so this bhakti creeper that's coming from the seed and will later on become a kalpavriksha tree is like touchstone. So touchstone means it turns the iron into gold, right? That is the meaning of touchstone. So our senses and our sense gratification tendency like iron. So how can, and bhakti is fully spiritual. So how can the material senses do bhakti? Is it possible? We have this verse. What is that verse? Atashi Krishna namati, nabhavet graham indriya. Right? So the name of Krishna, etc., is not able to be vibrated by the material senses. Atashi Krishna namati, nabhavet graham indriya. The senses are not able to grasp the spiritual substance. So can the tongue chant Hare Krishna?
It mentioned there, Steven Mukherjee Jiva though.
We didn't get to that part.
Okay.
So the sense is not generally able to. So how can the senses do bhakti yoga, which is the definition of sadhana bhakti? How is it possible? So the nature of bhakti is it starts to transform the senses into gold. So that's how they can be formed bhakti. That's what he's saying. So sparsha sparsha maneriva. It is like touchstone. So touchstone turns the iron into gold. So bhakti, like a touchstone, will transform the body. Okay? So in the next section from Chaitanya Charitamrita, you know, in the Ansha Kanda, when Sanatana Goswami was going to travel to Puri, and he walked through Jharikanda forest, and he drank some bad water, and all the boils developed in his body, and pus was coming out. And when he got to Puri, Mahaprabhu kept coming and embracing him, and he felt terrible, so he decided to commit suicide. Internally, he didn't tell anybody, but Mahaprabhu was Antaryami, so he came, and you know, Sanatana Goswami was staying with Haridas Thakur. So he came, and Mahaprabhu was chastising him, and he was telling Haridas Thakur, you also tag team, you also chastise him. This person has surrendered his body to me, and now he wants to destroy someone else's property. Is that very nice? So you also chastise them. They're doing tag team. So then Mahaprabhu begins to tell them about the nature of the Vaishnav's body. So he says this thing here. So Vaishnava Deha Pakrita Kabunai. So the Vaishnav's body, Vaishnav Deha, is not Pakriti. Right? He's Pakriti Kabunai. It is not Pakriti. Apakrita Deha Bhaktera. The body of a Vaishnava is considered apakrita, spiritual substance. Chidanandamai, full of the spiritual energy. Right? And then he says this statement. This is why I'm bringing all this up. Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan, se kale Krishna tare kare atma sam. At the time of initiation,
Krishna accepts it as
bhakta, diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpana. When he surrenders at the time of diksha, then se kale, at that time, Krishna tare atma sam. Then Krishna considers him to be the same as himself. And say deha kare tare chiranandamai, apakrita deha tana charana bujai. So then his body gradually becomes more and more spiritual. And in that apakrita deha, he is rendering service to Krishna. So a lot more could be said about that. I'm just glossing here because I don't want to get too off track. But the point is that at the time of initiation, that sparsha money, that touch jewel is given. So what about before initiation? That's the question that's going to be like bothering if you're not initiated. If you're initiated, you're like, you got addiction. Just made it. You know, like in the movies where the wall is coming down, they're like running, and then they like slide under the wall, and then it closes, and everyone gets stuck on the other side.
The mummy returns, isn't that?
The mummy returns, maybe. So something like that. So those who got addiction, we're like, we just made it, and the uninitiated like, no. So if you're not initiated, what about that bhakti? So that question always comes up. So that bhakti is okay. That is also bhakti, but that is bhakti that is nourishing the field, right? That's why I said adal shraddha.
Well, how do you know you're not initiated in last life?
Huh?
How do you know you're not initiated in last life?
How you know you? Well, since you can't know, better not take a chance. This life. And every life there should be initiation. Bhagavan got initiation. Bhagavan Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Vyasadeva.
Yeah.
So only we don't require initiation.
No, you can continue from that.
But every life the initiation is coming, right?
Sure.
So just in case, what if you didn't get initiated last life also? So why take any chance? This life you take initiation. So bhakti before initiation is like nourishing the field. So the field is getting right. You are getting some bandhigyan. You're hearing from Shravan Gurus. Shravan Guru means someone who is just speaking tattva and harikatha. And you're hearing that it's nourishing the heart for sure. But at the time of initiation, the seed is given. That seed is rati ankura. Actually, a lot more can be said. I was looking at Bhakti Sandarbha Guru Tattva section, and it was saying, there's some shlok there, I'm just glossing it now. But if you surrender, Shastra said just by surrendering to God, you can become delivered. But if you want a special relationship with God, that can only come through Guru. So many verses are there. So this Bhakti Lata Bija, this Rati Ankura, that's given at the time of initiation. And before that is like nourishment of the field in which the seed can grow. So it's not like in Bhakti, all the previous stages continue on forevermore. It's not like after I move to Guru Padashraya, there's no more Shraddha, or there's no more that first Sangha. So the general Sangha is always there, Shraddha is always there, Guru and Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru is always, Bhajan Kriya is always, all the stages you can say exist together at all times. But at the time of initiation, that's when you get here it says, and that's why I'm pulling it. I think you guys can see me. So Asparshena Sparshamayani. That's why this came up in my meditation this morning. It is a touch jewel that begins to transform the body. But Krishna, Mahaprabhu's teaching is saying, at least as voiced by Haridash Goswami, that happens. Diksha Kale, Bhakta Kale, Atma Samarpana. So of course, your degree of Atma Samarpana is going to make a distinction how much that seed grows. But the seed is given at the time of initiation, which has in the mantra contains the Swarupa of Bhagavan and the special relationship with Bhagavan. So one time this point was being brought up by Jaya Dvaita Swami. So naturally the question came up in class, what about me? It wasn't said like that, but so many uninitiated persons were there, so what about me? So they asked, and Jaya Dvaita Maharaj said, it is like auditing in class. So when you audit a class, you learn all the same subject matter. You may even take all the same tests, but no credit. Which was, of course, here, it's not that there's no credit when you're just nourishing the field of faith. There's nitya sukriti, that's what I already mentioned in the beginning. Right? Whatever we do, even after initiation also, and even before initiation, whatever you do is nitya sukriti, it's eternal. Because nature of bhakti is imperishable. Susu kam kartum avyayam. So the avyayam is imperishable. So there's not like there's no credit, but there's credit, there's nitya sukriti there. But it's just like you have a really nice field, but you're not planting any seeds yet. No seeds are there yet. So like this, one should get to see. So I'm saying this to say that initiation is important. Because this question always comes up, especially now because of technology and people don't have to go to gurus and surrender anymore. Because in the old days, you had to surrender. There's no technology. First of all, you had to walk and find some guru. You walked, 200 miles this way, and then like, oh, that's not the one. Got to walk again another way. So much walking you had to do. Finally, when you found someone that was able to inspire faith, and you really wanted to be trained by him, they would test you, and not just give it to anyone. Just like when we were growing up, we would watch the Karate Kid. He wanted to learn the karate, he had to surrender first. He gave him the bucket, and you washed on and washed off. And he was doing that for a long time. He was getting frustrated, like, give me some real knowledge. Actually, there was something in that also, in that wash on, wash off, but he wanted to test his surrender. Tavidi pranipatena paripasena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam garinas tatra darshana. So pranipatena means surrender, right? So they would test, they make tests. In the Sri Sampradaya, we heard so many nice stories about how they would get tested. They would go from some guru would send them to some mountain peak far away. They would be gone for 6 months, come back, and the guru was like, no, that's not enough. Do it again, and in that way they had to test their mettle, like if they were really about receiving that knowledge. But now with technology, we can just join a Zoom class, hear from this one, hear from that one. So the seva vritti, or the sharanagati vritti, the concept to surrender to a guru is become much compromised these days. And anyway, the guru is giving the same knowledge, and why do I have to surrender to him? I could just go to this other one. He's got the, actually he's a little bit more learned also. And like this, so much thinking is going on. Just another day, some kid, he's not a devotee per se, but he's into Vedic culture and Sanatana Dharma like culture. And he got some faith in me, a little faith in me because of my Instagram stuff, whatever I do. So he's always asking me questions now. He was asking about this, why do I need guru? And can't I just read his books? Big popular question. Can I just read his books? I was like, no, what you were reading? You're reading from your subjective position, which is ignorant, largely. So you need to go to some guru. We were trying to explain like this. Anyway, I was just seeing how that seva vritti isn't there anymore. Pranipatena, they don't do. Pariprashna, they hardly do, a little bit, and that too as it pertains to how they can exploit the knowledge, not serve it. And then they don't do seva. There's no seva. Oh, how you would do seva? You said, well, I do what I want, and then I call it seva. So I'm like, the relationship's two-way street. How you know that's pleasing to him? It's pleasing. At least to me. So this is not very good culture, actually. The technology, we said, it's so wonderful. We have Zoom class. Now we can just connect. And I mean, yeah, that has some truth in it, obviously. But I think it's maybe not as positive as we think that it is. And Srila Govinda Maharaj was very heavy about it. Like, you can't capture sadhu in a recording. He would say all sorts of things like this. So anyway, just wanted to put that out there, that initiation is important. That's what I guess I wanted to put out there. All the pieces, for me at least, starting to come together. And like I said, I was like, just made it. Slid under the door. This is the last minute. And this is meant to be also an encouragement to get initiated, to initiate. Sorry, this is the nature of in-person classes. This is meant to be an encouragement to initiate devotees.
We got something right.
We got something right. This is meant to be an encouragement to everyone. And for those who aren't in initiation, to at least appreciate that it is important, because technology, I think, has warped our understanding of its importance. So you see people all the time waiting. There's no problem in waiting also. I think the Goswamis received initiation when they were much older. Prabhupada was a little bit older, past his 30s, Gaura Govinda Maharaj in his 40s. It's not like we have to rush to get initiated. You can wait until And in the meantime, you're building into Sukriti. So there is no rush per se, but there should not be complacency also that I don't have to look for Guru. Seek and you shall find. So if you think, no, I don't have to seek, because there's so many nice people now. So many nice Shravan Gurus are there. So many nice, that's true, right? So many nice Shravan Gurus are available now. And you can connect to them through Zoom and this, that, and the other. So then the sense of needing Diksha is starting to become covered. Now no one thinks they need Diksha. So here you need Diksha. Otherwise, yeah, you're not get the spirit, you won't get the Apakrita Deha, Sadhaka Rupa. No? Sadhaka Rupa comes when you take initiation. So that's an interesting point. Next, he says here, so I'm continuing. So gradually, so Che Mayatva Shuddha Jambu Nadatam. So Jambu Nadatam means like gold. So this seed that's given by Guru at Diksha, it gradually starts to transform the iron-like senses to gold. Mm-hmm. You have to, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, you got to go through all the stages, but it's becoming more and more, as Prabhupada would say, spiritualized, using that language. Okay, he goes on to say, gradually, the sadhana bhakti creeper sprouts and unfolds 2 leaves. The first is called Kleshagni, destroyer of material sufferings, and the second is called Shubhada, giver of all auspiciousness. So now you got initiation and sprouting, and when it sprouts, 2 leaves are there. Okay, one leaf is called Kleshagni, other leaf is called Shubhada. Okay, Kleshagni means the destroyer of kleshas. What are those kleshas? We'll see Sri Vishnu's just about to tell. But Bhakti destroys kleshas, and also almost like simultaneously or concurrently, it gives auspiciousness, Shubha. So what is this Kleshagni and what is the Shubha? He'll tell. So we're next statement here. So the inner surface of these 2 leaves is a domain of the king called Raga. So their inner surface, outer surface, you could say the top part of the leaf, which is smooth, and the bottom part of the leaf, which is rough. So they're calling it inside and outside. That's the language that's here used. Anta and Bahir is being used. You understand? So the inner surface, this part, top part of the leaf, which is smooth and nice, if you make it like this, it feels nice. The inner surface of the 2 leaves is the domain of the king called Raga, and is very smooth. The sign of its being born out of spontaneous greed, Lobha. It is superior due to its appearance from the pure affectionate relation with the Lord, as described in the Bhagavatam 3:25-38. Quote, I am their dear one, very life, their son, etc. This is from Kapila Muni's teachings. Okay, that's it. Inner surface. Then he goes to say the outer surface of the leaves is ruled by another king known as Vaida, regular devotion, and is slightly rough in nature. The sign of its being born from the injunctions of the scriptures. It is somewhat inferior and slightly rough due to the lack of pure affectionate relation with the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 2:15 is an example of this. Therefore, persons desiring fearlessness should worship the Lord, the super soul. All right. However, both Raga and Vaidhi almost equally manifest the symptoms of Kleshagni and Shubhada. So this little creeper, the first sprout is called Sadhana Bhakti, and there are 2 types of Sadhana Bhakti, Rag Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, and Vaidhi Bhakti. But in Sadhana Bhakti, the inherent characteristic or quality of Sadhana Bhakti is it destroys kleshas and it bestows auspiciousness. So whether you do Vaidhi or Raga, the inherent quality of sadhana of any type is that it will destroy kleshas and bestow auspiciousness. You understand?
Are you saying that they're independent?
Huh?
Are you saying they're independent?
What do you mean they're independent? Raganuga Bhakti and Vaidhi Bhakti are 2 different types of sadhana, right?
Are they independent?
Are they? Yeah, they're independent.
Okay.
There are 2 different types of sadhana. They're independent. But whether it's this sadhana or that sadhana, they both have this inherent quality in it, that they can destroy kleshas and bestow auspiciousness, okay? So what is definition of Vaidhi Bhakti? You know, definition. What is definition of Vaidhi Bhakti? Fixed. I need a little bit more description than that.
No,
That's all you have?
regulated.
Regulated. Ooh, okay.
Well, accept favorable things and reject unfavorable things.
Accept favorable things, reject unfavorable. That's Sharanagati.
That's Adam's
Anukulyasa Sankalpa, this is part of Sharanagati, right? 6 limbs of Sharanagati. So you don't know the definition of Vaidhi Bhakti. So are you doing Vaidhi Bhakti?
I don't know what it is.
I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, sorry guys. I'm with Siddha Hari Prabhu. He's a gesture type here. I've never spent this much time with him, but the whole weekend I've just been dying of laughter.
I'm just being frank.
Being frank. He's very, he has very clean humor, which I'm not accustomed to also. So definition of Vaidhi Bhakti is this: Yatra Ragha Navaptatvat Pavitra Upajayate. Shasane Naiva Shastrasya Vaidhi Bhakti Uchate. This is given by Sri Rupa Goswami.
Until the Ruchi has arisen, whatever you follow rules and regulations, and that's how you're practicing devotion.
So Shasana Eva Shastrasya means that exclusively by Shastra,
by scripture,
scriptural injunctions, this Vaidhi Bhakti is going on. And Yatra Ragha Navaptatvat Pavrita Upajayate. And there has not arisen the raga. Raga means loba. You understand? Because loba is the adhikar for Raghunaga Bhakti. So specifically, I like this definition of what is this raga in this verse, according to Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. He says his raga is degree, he uses the word loba, degree for bhajan, as informed by Lila Kata. Lila Kata, the 10th canto, which is dealing with Krishna's pastimes, or having darshan of the deity, Radha Krishna deity, you see, and you hear Lila Kata, and then you get loba, grief for bhajan. So in Vaidhi Bhakti, there is no loba for bhajan as inspired by Lila Kata and darshan of the Lord. There is no sense of love. That loba has not arisen. So exclusively by the injunction of scriptures is going on. So they quoted this verse from 215. We already read the verse, but the verse was describing, this is Shukadeva Goswami, Shukra Muni's statements to Parikshit Maharaj in the very beginning of his teachings, that if you have fear of samsara, you want freedom from that, then you should do bhakti. So what's the motivation? Fear or desire for freedom from samsara. And then how do I get that? Well, Shastra says you should worship Bhagavan. So I worship Bhagavan because Shastra tells me to worship Bhagavan so that I can get freedom from fear or freedom from samsara. That is a motivating factor. So that's called Vaidhi Bhakti. You're also doing Bhagavat Seva, you're doing, but why are you doing it? Well, because Shastra says, worship Bhagavan. Well, what inspired you to follow that Shastra? Well, I want to get free from samsara. That's like coming back to Godhead. That's very attractive to me. So that's called Vaidhi Bhakti. Okay, what is the definition of Raganuga Bhakti?
One is inspired by Lila Katha and the darshan.
What is the definition given by Rupa Goswami? So Ishte Sarasiki Raga Paramavishtatata Pravet Tan Mayi Yabavet Bhakti Satra Ragatmika. This definition of Ragatmika Bhakti. Ishte Sarasiki Raga Paramavishtatata. I was telling this the other day, remember? You remember?
Yes.
Do you remember the definition?
I don't know.
Sarasiki means spontaneous. Just like your senses, when they see some object, spontaneous. You don't have to preach to it. Actually, you have to preach against it. Don't go after it. Or using my analogy, you see the cookies. And you're not supposed to eat the cookies. But as soon as the senses see, they could pull. So Swarasiki means spontaneous without any teaching. Like you don't have to teach eating, sleeping, mating, defending, like we used to have in school, sex education. You don't have to teach. You have to teach people how to not do it. Or, how to regulate, how to get married, how to have, the children or whatever. These things you have to teach. Otherwise, no one will do it. If they can get out of it, no one will do it. So that is called swarasiki, right? Swarasiki means spontaneous. So spontaneous paramavishita bhavet. Paramavishita means a love thirst that causes absorption in the object of love, ishte. So spontaneous love thirst that causes an absorption in the ishtadev, that's Krishna, is called raga. Okay, what is the definition of raga?
A spontaneous love thirst that causes absorption in the ishta.
Yes, that's called raga. Tamayi yabavet bhakti. So bhakti that is composed only of that raga.
Ragatmika bhakti.
That's called ragatmika, okay? Virajantam abhivyaptam rajavasi janadishu ragatmikam anushrishta yasa raganuchate. So what is the definition of raganuga bhakti?
Falling in the
Right. Ragatmikam anushrita. When you follow the ragatmikas, and that ragatmika is manifesting where? Virajantam abhivyaptam is manifesting very powerfully. Rajavasi janadishu, in the residence of Braja. So this is called, when you follow these ragatmikas, that is called raganuga bhakti.
So for Raganuga Bhaktas too, their raga is not yet arisen. Has it arisen?
So in the Raganuga Bhaktas, they're loba. Loba means greed. You hear Lilakata, you see Darshana Radha Krishna deities. Then you get loba, that I want to love Krishna like this. So the verse quoted by Sri Vishwanath was from the third canto, Kapila Muni's teaching. We already read it.
Yeah.
That I am their dear one, their very life, their son, their priya, their atma, and so on. So that means they're inspired by a type of relationship with Krishna. Our friendship with Krishna, or the parental love for Krishna, the conjugal love for Krishna, Dasya and Braja, they're inspired by that. And that's why they're doing it. It's not because fear or because freedom from samsara or even because Shastra is telling. It's just like, man, you hear like some poem of Mirabai, and someone hears that, she's glorifying Giridhari Lal and that's her deity, and you're just like, man, I wish I could love God like that. And so you get loba and you start pursuing that. You want to also love. So the loba is there like this. So that's called raganuga. You're following the ragatmika, Vrajabasi devotees. Okay? So this definition of Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti. So the Raganuga Bhakti is considered a little superior to Vaidhi because the inspiration is a relationship with God. And Vaidhi Bhakti is considered a little inferior, a little rough, because it's like injunctions. All right, Shastra is telling, I'm following. It's not inferior insofar as what it can give, because Vaidhi Bhakti is also giving Kleshagni, also giving Shubhada. It would also give Bhava and also give Prema. So it should not be thought of as inferior in that, but for Gaudiyas it's considered a little inferior because the inspiration isn't relationship. It's relationship, but with the flavor of my own freedom and at play. Whereas in Loba, it's like, that's not the concern. I just want to love Krishna. That's why you see the prayers of our acharyas. They'll say, like, for example, Nanda Nam Nanjanam Sundarin Kavitamba Jagadish Kame, Mama Jamani Jamani Shure, Bhavata Bhaktarai Tukitwe. So Maru is saying, birth after birth. Let me say birth, but let me have that Ahituki Bhakti. So they're praying like that because it's just a relationship that's important. Vaidhi Bhakti is life after life. No, I'm trying to get out some sorrow. What is this life after life? So there's a little distinction is there. But both giving Kleshak and Shubhada, both giving Bhava, both giving Prema. Okay, it's a little bit different, the quality of the Bhava and Prema, but they're both giving. So superiority is always in Krishna consciousness. Superiority is considered in terms of intimacy of connection with the absolute. How close the infinite can come to how close the infinitesimal can come to the infinite reality. Then they call that as higher. So that is only possible in Krishna conscious conception. Okay, we're going to take a little pause here. Carry on tomorrow. But I think some interesting ideas were told here. Question says here, today's discussion on initiation with Gopal mantra at the time of second initiation makes sense when we hear that second initiation is a must to go back to Godhead. Sure. When you say bhakti transforms the senses of the bhakta, seems like this is referring to pure bhakti. Yes, that's what we already covered in the first class. Shuddha Bhakti was compared to Kalpavriksha tree, right? So the Shuddha Bhakti tree comes from a Shuddha Bhakti seed. So that's what we covered in the beginning of class, the seed coming at initiation, Rati Ankura. We already told all these things. So as Bhakti is used quite loosely for everyone performing some devotional activity, but it seems the process of purification is very slow. Yeah, so I already told. This is talking about initiation, and it's slow to the degree that you're surrendering. Diksha Kale Bhakta Kare Atma Samarpana. So everyone's surrender at the time of initiation isn't the same. So according to that part, then it will be faster or slower. So, but it's there now. You got to see, you water it nicely. If you surrender nicely, you can make nice advancement. But many of us, we don't water very nicely. You know, it's like having a plant that's there, is like barely hanging on. But it won't die because it's imperishable. So it's like you can imagine if you keep your Tulsi plant, she looks like almost naked. You know, you're just not like hardly watering her, not taking good care, but it won't die. So like a lot of sadhakas, we took in the initiation, diksha. So our plant is there, was like just, you know, looking a little rough, but it won't die because it's imperishable. But we're not watering very nicely. So our progress would be a little slower. Now others, they do Atma Samarpan very nicely. Their progress will be a little faster. Devotee, Prabhu, you are 80 years old. Why are you not yet initiated? Me, I'm still preparing the field. Can't plant the seed without nicely preparing the field first. Yeah, I mean, that's the strategy for sure. Shyam Saki, what is the qualification for second initiation as for Shastras, not as for ISKCON? Well, Diksha is given by Guru, right? So whenever he wants to give it, you know, you have to ask him what he's looking for. But general thing that we hear from like Bhakti, Hari Bhakti Vilas, for example, the Guru and disciple, they will study one another for 1 year. So Guru has to see and the disciple also has to see. So after 1 year, then the Guru may say, he's heard nicely, he's done nice seva, tavidi panipatena paripasana and all that. And then the Guru, when he decides to give the initiation, then that's it. And you go to the Guru, ask him, how can I receive that grace? He'll tell you. Seems like devotees decide your level of surrender. I mean, that's not neither here or there. Krishna decides your level of surrender. It's Krishna who's ultimately reciprocating with you, right? Or with the level of surrender. So someone may say you are very surrender, and Krishna's like, nah. And someone may say you're not very surrender, and Krishna thinks he's very pleased with your surrender. So what others are saying is not important. I don't know why that should disturb anyone. You were like this, you're like, just like with me, so many people glorify me because my public persona, you know, it has a certain confidence, certain charm and charisma to it. But I never get, it's a fact. I'm not saying it. It's not like false humility. But people get like, they find me funny, they find me like kind and this and that and other. It has a certain charm to it. But when they glorify me, I'm like, I know what I'm living with every day inside that no one else knows. So it doesn't really, I mean, I'm grateful. I always say thank you whenever I get appreciation. I am genuinely thankful because it is encouraging. Oftentimes it can come at moments where I'm feeling really down, precisely because I know exactly what I am. And it comes, I say, okay, Krishna's inspiring them, so give me a little pick me up so I get a little bit inspired. But ultimately, Krishna is the one who knows the nature of our heart. And that's the person that bhakti is really being performed under. Guru and Krishna, you can say, but it's definitely specifically Krishna. So he is reciprocating with the nature of our approach. Yes. All right, Mukunda, do you have a question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, initiation, like, I mean, obviously, you know my challenges with like initiation and stuff. But I guess my question is, when you're approaching a guru, especially if you haven't spent time with them prior to your meeting them for the first time, it's like I mean, I guess it's just the nature of how the world is today. It's not like you spend time for a year, at least a year or more. But I almost feel like there's a necessity to like present a resume, like, here are my accomplishments. Can we just cut to the chase? Like, like as opposed to waiting how many years for them to get to know me in a genuine, like, natural way. But that seems wrong, obviously, because it's like you're putting yourself out. You're like, it's like almost a pride thing. Like, hey, just so you know, I've been around for this long. I've done this many things. I know this much. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any comment you can add here, but it seems challenging.
Yeah, it is challenging. I think the major challenge for us is that spiritual life is not necessarily our topmost priority right now. So you're not really allowed to make certain decisions unless you really feel that need. Is that Balaram? The cow is there. Well, one bull is there, and he, I guess, escaped and is running around hither and thither. Yeah, so I kind of wonder if that's the reason why, like the Goswamis, even, for example, and Prabhupada or Guru Govinda Maharaj, I gave those examples in the class today. They got initiation when they were a lot older. Dang, he's running all over the place aggressively. Yeah, I'm wondering if that's why not that they, yeah, well, I don't know if there's something to be learned from their taking initiation much later. That's what I'm saying. Where it was like I need this. I don't need other things. Guru Govinda Maharaj was walking or traveling up and down India looking for Guru. The Goswamis, they had it up to the neck with their service to the Nawab, and so they really felt that need. And so with that need, they were able to make really dramatic decisions, such as quitting their nice jobs. Sanatana Goswami got arrested, and he had to bribe the prison guard and escape. Like, you had to go through all this hardship just to follow his heart. So I don't know if there's something to be gleaned from that, like some sort of teaching.
Yeah, taking some difficulty on.
Yeah, I mean, not because you want to, but because you have to. Like, there is some necessity in you that is forcing you to do that, right? Just like when people do stupid things in the name of love, but they do it because they have to. I mean, obviously it's the play of the material energy and all that, but in terms of what they're experiencing subjectively, they have to do that. They can't not do that. And even if they regret it, like they do some stupid thing and they regret it, what do they say? Retrospective vision. What is it? It's always 2020. Hindsight is always 2020. They say like that. So yeah, you might regret it with hindsight, but as far as when you were on the other side of that subjective experience, you had to do it. So yeah, spiritual life is not like such a need. And the way we live today, where everything is so easily available, it kind of compromises the ability to feel that we need it. Because it's like, okay, it's just always easily available. So it doesn't strike us as something that we have to really search for or aspire to or anything. Sorry, I'm looking at the devotees trying to catch this bull. It's hilarious, dude. The bull's like running and he got him with the census. Good tactic. So anyway, yeah, the other thing is, I feel like because our world has become so, like, as we say, global, the sort of more natural culture of like village life and simple and slower, and many gurus, and they're living in villages, so you can actually just go to them and surrender to them and you still have your life, but they're very easily available, so to speak, like they're nearby, they're not so far away. I don't know, I personally feel like that's gonna have to be the culture in the future, especially as world governments, due to pandemic, will have to like lock down their countries in the name of protecting the people, or whatever it is gonna go on. It looks like it's moving anyway in that direction. Like smaller communities where people have to actually depend on the people they live with. It's like interdependent life. And then in that case, there would be a need for like the arising of more gurus who are like local and available. And that may bring us closer to like the culture we hear about in scripture. Anyway, yeah, I definitely feel you for these sorts of modern dilemmas around this topic. But where there's a will, there's a way. So that's a fact. If someone really wants that thing, they'll figure it out. They'll do what they have to do. And that's what I'm talking about, the necessity for it. Gives you all the sorts of inspiration you need to. Krishna says, I will give the intelligence by which you can come to me. And that's for, of course, Teshan, for those who are doing like bhakti very deeply, but just as an intuitive point, if you feel your need for bhakti, you can call that as a satatam yuktana. If you're feeling that, you're gonna always be feeling that. That's satatam yuktanam right there in a kind of very practical sense. Even if you're not doing bhajan per se, but you're always feeling your need for bhakti and for coming closer to Krishna. That's satatam yuktanam. And Krishna said, I will give the inspiration from within by which you can approach me. So if we really need it, if we really want it, so to speak, then I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way. You'll figure it out. So many people in the past have figured it out. Many people today in all sorts of the same world that we live in, they figured it out despite terrible circumstances. There's so many nice stories about that. You know, the Russian devotees, the sort of stories you hear about them to find guru it's just like wild. So they kind of represent the potential of humanity in general. So our potential may be sleeping a little bit, and we got to wake them up. Get up, get up. This is our necessity. Good luck. I know it's hard. That's my comment on that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm stopping here, I suppose. We'll continue tomorrow. Hari Om Tat Sat. Thanks a lot. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.